What are we about to get into today? Your support means so much to me, and of course, it really helps spread the word about my channel and this podcast. So, thank you always. Now, let's get into it because is it an unpopular opinion that everyone wants to be an influencer these days? Now, the topic might have got your attention because you're thinking, yeah, I know a few people that want to be an influencer. Maybe you want to be an influencer yourself. You see people on the internet, you see, these new trends, everything is happening at once. You're like, yeah, I can see exactly why. Or maybe you disagree. Maybe you're like, no, like there's space for everyone. So let's talk about it. My personal opinion, it is not a bad thing that everyone wants to be an influencer, if everyone does. I think there is, as always, with a new year, a new push for different careers and influencing being a big thing that, we've seen creators now be on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. We see these new creator lists and new opportunities being constantly created for influencers and content creators. And there's so many opportunities out there. It's like, why would you not pursue them? Especially if you have the personality or you have, the gift of selling, or you really love a certain product. Like, of course you're going to go on the internet and talk about how much you love it. At this point, most people are doing that. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing if you want to become an influencer. I think it's a great thing if you want to become an influencer. But there are a few things that you want to know before you start this journey. Things that I certainly wish I knew before I started my content creation. And there is a difference between a content creator and an influencer. A content creator create because they like to. They make fun things, and their content might not necessarily focus on specific brands or products or even like restaurants. Like, you might have a niche, like your niche might be fitness or restaurants. Whatever you're into, you create content maybe about this thing. You just do it because you enjoy creating. You're always challenging yourself. Not to say that influencers can't also be content creators, but influencers, on the other hand, are selling you something. Influencers are trying to get you to use their affiliate link or to shop their Amazon storefront, or maybe they just did a collab with this big brand and so they want you to use their link. They are result driven and they are hired by brands, representatives, whoever it might be. They're hired to sell their product. End of the day, that's the difference between content creators and influencers. So learning the difference is kind of key when you are starting this journey of learning more about how you want to represent yourself on social media. Because if you just want to create content because you enjoy creating content, do you, boo. But if you want to be an influencer, there's a little bit more. Your career is solely driven by numbers. It's driven by your return on investment for brands. It's driven by how many followers you have, what your engagement rate is. There's a difference between the two. So knowing that ahead of time alleviates a lot of things. So if you are thinking about starting your journey, start here, reflect, get still with yourself, understand what you want. So you're new to this. You have a few things to learn maybe. It's all about trial and error. No matter what people on the internet tell you, no matter what I tell you, it is all going to be about your own personal journey. There's people that blow up overnight. There's people that take 10 years to get 30,000 followers. But it's a reality of some people. So you do have to know things like that going into it and understand that instant gratification is not necessarily on your side. So you also want to be sure you're going into it for the right reasons. No matter what people are telling you, how you can just make so much overnight, how much they made from the creator fund, how it's raining money everywhere. Don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. A lot of these people that are telling you that there is so much money to be made, they're not necessarily lying. There's a lot of money out there. But assuming you're going to make that much money straight out the gate, assuming that you're going to be getting these big partnerships right away, I don't want to say it's impossible, because there are some people that are privileged enough to receive those opportunities. For most of us out there, you're going to have to put some grit, time, effort, energy, and money into it to see the results that you want to see. But knowing your intentions going in, understanding it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, you're already on the right track, okay? When you are a combination of a content creator and an influencer, you want to focus on building community. So that's what's really gonna boost your engagement, boost your posts in general, is people being genuinely interested in what you have to say, what you have to share. Building that community from jump will save you so much time. So if you're in it to build community, to have fun, enjoy creating content, enjoy growing your personal brand, you get a gold star. But if you are trying to become an influencer, just purely thinking it's a get-rich-quick scheme, you are going to burn out so easily and get really frustrated once you realize there's no longevity in doing it that way. You might make a quick buck coming up, but then at some point that's gonna run dry because you don't have a foundation that's built on community. As a micro creator myself, it took me a long time to be able to have paid partnerships. I think an impression that people get wrong a lot of times when it comes to being a content creator or being an influencer, I did a lot of gifted collabs to begin with. And sometimes I regret doing so because I think your intellectual property, your videos, what you create is so valuable because no one else is going to make the same video like you. People will try and, copy your style or do something similar to what you're doing, but ultimately you are the only person that can create the way that you create. That should be valued in itself. If you have a brand reaching out to you, that should be valued. You should want to work with me, not because you see a number or you see that I have this community. You should want to work with me because of what I bring to the table, what I'm offering. And so I think that's where a lot of people who are just starting out mess up, because I did so many gifted collabs and I did them with bigger brands. So now I'm finally getting to the point where I'm not doing gifted anymore. I think at the same time you should do what makes sense to you. So a lot of people will push the idea that you should never do gifted, you should value your content more. But I think in this business, everyone sets their own rate. So if it's something you're comfortable doing, do it. If it's something you're uncomfortable doing, don't do it. I think it's honestly that simple. But with that being said, I love when I get a paid opportunity. As someone who is still kind of at that entry level kind of larger following, from a perspective of a brand who's wanting to sell a product, they're wanting to reach a lot of people. And so even when they do look at creators my size, they typically aren't trying to pay them as much as they would these larger creators. I push for it, obviously, but when I do get paid partnerships, I do kind of keep that in mind. And I also keep my rates in mind with that. Knowing what your lowest you would accept when it comes to paid partnerships is really important, because a lot of times they're going to try and negotiate with you. Kind of knowing that and knowing how the industry works on the inside is also really important. Your rates should change based on who you work with. Okay, bestie? That's the tea. So that's a little bit about rates. When it comes to a strategy, in my experience with a strategy, I feel like what I used to do was a little insane. It was just it was a lot. I posted on TikTok every day, 3 times a day, basically until I got to 10K. So once I started taking this very seriously and I was like, okay, I can see myself doing this long term. I could see myself, working with brands and building my audience up. Like, this is really interesting to me. And I think once I hit the point that I realized people that weren't my friends were following me, I was like, okay, I really enjoy this. I like connecting with people. I like posting about the things I like. I like showing my life off. Like, this is really enjoyable for me. I'm gonna shift. I'm gonna make that mindset shift. I'm going to be more serious about it. Once I did that, I was posting. I was posting. Like, you were not missing me. I even remember getting a few comments when I first started of like, I see you doing your little TikTok thing. I see you doing your, I always see you on my For You page. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, you're on my For You page. It was like,
you're always on there. Like, you posting all the time. You're the only person I see.
I was like, okay, just you wait. Just you wait, babe. Just you wait, because I'm posting for a reason. And that's the attitude you have to have when you decide to take this seriously. You cannot let other people's shame or them trying to embarrass you, trying to humble you, you cannot let that get to you, because the moment you do, you lose focus of what you're trying to do here. You're creating for other people, but you're not creating for the people in your hometown. Unless you are. I would assume that you're not. You're doing this for you. You are doing this to reach a broader audience. You're doing it to reach people who are like-minded to you. Put yourself in these shoes. If you one day want to be a Jackie Aina, a Monet McMichael, you have to think about the level of accessibility that these women have. They are not, you see, they have close-knit friends. They don't just hang out with a bunch of people. They're not just out. They have to carry a certain stature once you reach that level. You don't get to be for everybody. You just have to be very conscious of who has access to you. Because the same people that maybe are seeing your stuff on a daily basis, they might be rooting for you to fail. The 5 tips that I would share with newcomers to this industry, newbies, new girls, we see you, we see your hard work, we know it's worth it in the end, but it's gonna take some time to get there. And it takes trial and error. Again, like, there's access to so much information on the internet, but at the same time, you really truly will not 100% know what to do until you go through it. These are the 5 tips that I would share if I was just starting out, if I restarted my content career journey, if I restarted my influencer journey. Here are the 5 tips that I would want to know. If you want to grow quickly, your key to success is to niche down so specifically and post daily. With niches, it can go either way for me. I personally don't believe in niching yourself into a box, and so I have not taken this approach. And I think, had I taken this approach when I had a lot of success and I had a lot of videos going viral at once, I would probably be, a little bit thousand or a few more followers deep. But I think, to me, staying true to myself, leaning a little bit more on that content creation side, it's important for me to create content I'm passionate about. And if I'm not super passionate about a topic, I'm not going to sit here and fake it. And I'm not just going to do it so I can grow quickly. Some people don't even need to fake it. Some people are really genuinely passionate about what their niche is, so they're able to just grind content out and make a bunch of stuff. I think ultimately it's most important that you're doing something you're passionate about, but if you're looking for something that's going to, I would niche down. I would do it. It's hard to get back out of that niche. Like, it's going to take some trial and error learning to get out of it, but it's possible. Secondly, I would broaden your audience. So don't just stick to one platform. I think that's the biggest mistake I made early on, is that I just focused all my time on TikTok. Everything was TikTok. The issue with that is, if you don't have the infrastructure to begin with posting multiple platforms multiple times a day, it's really hard to then integrate a new platform when you already have a system in place. So like for me, I already had TikTok, but then getting on Instagram was hard for me, because it's like, okay, I'm posting every day on here. So it's like, I know I have this video planned out, I have these planned out. And then it's like, oh, I still need to post on Instagram. What am I going to post? I don't know. And so really having kind of your system, your schedule, everything in place ahead of time will save you so much headache in the end. In diversifying that audience from the get-go, you need to be well-rounded. And 2, I think the thing is with other platforms is, I think you can kind of experiment with your style. Maybe you have a get ready with me kind of video and you want to post it on TikTok and Instagram, but maybe you edit them differently, because maybe you have a similar audience on both, but maybe you edit it just a little bit differently. So it's like the people that are on Instagram get to see something different in the people on TikTok. So your intersection, people still see the vision, you know? Most importantly, be yourself. Be yourself. I already said this, but there's no one out there that's going to create content the same way as you. A lot of people make the mistake when they first start out, they are inauthentic to themselves. They try this high-pitched voice and, you know, try and do expressions that really aren't genuine to them. And we see right through it. We see right through it. And you don't want to be someone you're not just because you think people are going to like it. People follow you for you. Strip everything down to what it is. Niche, focus, money, whatever it is, because of the way you make content, the way you interact with them, things you have to say, or maybe you don't say, maybe it's your lifestyle. Whatever it is, they follow you. So be yourself. It took me a long time to really be comfortable with my personality and being on camera. I think it happens, you know, even when I sit down to film, it's like I can feel myself starting to be more comfortable, because ultimately, I mean, it can be kind of strange. You're sitting in a room with a camera by yourself, like there's, you know, I'm in a room with a camera, like that's it. That's the bottom line. And so you kind of have to pull that personality out. You really have to talk yourself into it, like, okay, no, like, be yourself, be comfortable. This is how I act on a daily basis. Like, me sitting down with a friend, like, I'm going to talk to them just like this. And I think that's the most important thing when you are trying to build your online community, trying to become an influencer. You just need to be yourself, and things will fall into place after that. As you continue to grow as an influencer, as a creator, you have to maintain your ethics, your morals, your ethics. It is really easy to get lost in your ego, because if you have tons of people in your comments every day talking about, you look so amazing, oh, I see the progress, like they're hyping you up. People are constantly hyping you up. They're asking you where things are from. You're being resourceful. You mean a lot to people. You start to feel that. You're like, oh, okay, I'm important. Like, people need me. People want me. And that can have an effect on your attitude, your ego. My biggest thing is, don't get lost in that. Don't allow things that are in here, don't allow things that are in your phone to distract you from your life goals. And maintaining that level of ethics is really important, because if you stand for something, you should stand for it regardless if you have 1 million followers or not. I think especially when it comes to things that involve the world politically, you know, standing with Palestine, standing with Congo, being able to say those things without fear of repercussions, because that's your ethics. Those are your morals. Those are things you are not going to compromise just because of something. And I think that should be the same with any career ever. Like, you should, at your core, have a set of moral, ethical values that you don't budge on just because of something else. And I think being able to say no to opportunities or things like that based on your morals and your ethics is also really important. The last thing I would say is to build an infrastructure so you have systems in place for when you blow up. Let's say you blow up overnight. What are you going to do? How are you going to maintain that? How are you going to continue to build your platform and keep this longevity? Keep getting, 1 million views on every video. How are you going to keep doing it? You won't know unless you have a system in place to execute all of your ideas. I know this is a career where you get to have so much fun creating and doing all the things and really exercising your mind to come up with new ideas. But ultimately, you still have to have strategy behind it. You still have to have posting schedule and, keep track of your receipts. If you are building an LLC, you have to be strategic minded as well. And so having that system in place before you blow up is really important, because you don't want to be playing catch up. You don't. There's a lot of people that blow up or their thing blows up and they don't have the infrastructure or people in their corner to help them with everything. And so then that success falls by the wayside because they were not prepared for it. And I don't want that to happen to you, bestie. I want you to get everything you deserve. And I want you to be prepared for it when it comes. A bonus tip I also have is to invest in your equipment. I will say I personally challenge myself to be able to do the thing before I'll invest in the equipment. This camera, I waited to invest in it until I could prove to myself I can take videos. I am interested in making vlogs on YouTube, or I am interested in integrating video for my podcast. Once I could do it kind of at a lower quality with my phone, I was like, okay, I see the commitment. I'm willing to invest in it. My biggest takeaway about my journey, becoming an influencer, what this year looks like for all of you guys, is that it's so easy to compare yourself to others. It is so easy, especially in this industry where everything is a numbers game. You can see how many followers your competition has. You can see how good other people's videos are doing. You see the brand partnerships. You see the return. You see the success. You know what I mean? It's all so visible. And so it's really easy to compare, but I urge you not to compare yourself. You don't know what this person had to go through to get this partnership or get these followers or anything. You don't know the backstory behind anything, and just trust that because you are yourself, because you are putting in the hard work, the dedication, the time, the effort, the commitment, good things are coming your way. You just have to trust that and be confident in yourself and your capabilities, because it's really easy to get lost in comparing yourself to others and wishing that you were working with this brand or wishing that you were on this brand trip. I think it's easy and it's natural to want these things for yourself, but don't be upset or don't compare yourself because others are getting them. The reality is not everyone blows up. Not everyone is an overnight success. And for some people, it takes a lot longer. For some people, they could create a new account and have millions of followers by tomorrow. While there is a lot of strategy involved, sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes things just happen because they happen that way. And even some of your faves took a long time to grow. I think you see people's success now and you're like, oh my gosh, they have so many followers, they have so much, they have all this and that. But you're not taking a second to consider how long they've been in the industry or what all work went into them being in the position they're at now. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for listening to Let's Have Breakfast. As always, please feel free to write a review, give it 5 stars, do whatever you need to do to show your love and appreciation, because here at Let's Have Breakfast, that's what we do. You know, we're here for each other.